Nitin, thank you so much for sharing your perspective. Always good to get a view from you on the telecom pack. Ruchit Jain, equity technical analyst at Angel Broking, is now joining us. Ruchit, we were just talking about the telecom pack. One of the biggest buzzers today in the telecom pack is Tata Com. Can you just tell us what is your view on Tata Communication?
Good afternoon, Pankaj. Pankaj, overall, we have seen this stock has been forming this high top, high bottom, but there is some sort of now resistance coming in around this 545. So, although the stock has not shown any major negative momentum in last few sessions, although it has outperformed the other stocks in the sector, but I think this stock will now turn range bound rather than continuing this momentum. Firstly, if we observe this 545, there was some sort of negative pattern formation as per the candlestick patterns on the daily charts. Second, even if you observe the RSI of the charts, then earlier which was trending higher, it has now gone sideways. So I think although this outperformance is there within the sector in this stock, but for short term or short to medium term, there would be some sort of consolidation in this stock, wherein the stock would remain in the range of 545, 550 on the high side, and on the low side 515 to 500 would be acting as a support. So rather than buying at current levels, I would wait for declines in case if the stock drops to around 500. I think that would be again a good opportunity to enter into the stock.
Any view on the tire names as well? MRF, not very frequently spoken about. It's hit 50,000 mark today.
So probably last couple of months itself, we have seen formation of this high top, high bottom structure in all the tire names, be it MRF, Sept or Apollo tires. I think even if in MRF, if you see it in today's trading session, in spite of such a big up move, we have seen the volumes are quite higher than what generally the stock, we see the generally volumes in the stock. So that's a positive sign, and it's an indication that this uptrend may continue in all these names. C8 definitely is looking much attractive even at current levels. We have seen that after a consolidation phase during last month, the stock gave a breakout and has continued its high top, high bottom formation. So there are still no negative signs in the tire sector, and from current levels, C8 could show some good amount of upside.
Right. Both of these names you like. Sept particularly, as you said, that it's a good, looking good on the chart. What would be the percentage upside or the targets that you would look at? Is it at a new high and a new territory?
Yeah, October 2015, we saw the high around 1300, 1305 in this Sept. So I think very soon, the stock would again test those levels of 1300 to 1305. Looking at the volumes which have panned out in last 1.5 months, there is high probability that it can go above those levels also. So 1300 would be the first target for the stock. Those who are trading from very short-term perspective of maybe 2 to 4 days, but those who are having some longer-term perspective, I think it's just a matter of time that when this all-time high of 1305 would be crossed.
Right. Z Entertainment from the large cap pack, that's hit a new high. Has it broken out of a range, or it's still within a tight range?
No, Pankaj, it has definitely given a breakout of the range in today's session. The last couple of months, the stock has done quite well. What worries over here is the volume, that in spite of the stock coming at its all-time high in today's session, the volumes are not that higher comparatively. So I think although this positive momentum is there, some sort of consolidation could happen in the stock in near term. So won't be that comfortable buying at these levels in Z Entertainment. In near term, we may see levels of around 550 to 555. There is a reciprocal retracements coming in over there, and since volumes are comparatively not that higher in last few sessions, so the stock should resistance in the range of 550 to 555.
As far as Z is concerned, generally it tends to move only around the results. So till results, it may consolidate, and any decline should be used as a buying opportunity.
Yes, I think that could be a good strategy, wherein if decline comes, then use that declines as a buying opportunity. Last 3 months, the stock has given very good returns from about 380, 400 levels to now 540, 550. Now, if we observe the recent corrective move wherein the stock corrected from 545 to 510 levels, 510 there was a good support level. So from there again the stock has moved higher. So that stock has shown tendencies that this higher top higher bottom structure is getting continued, and any corrective moves about 4 to 5% correction, the stock again finds a good support or buyer around at lower levels. So I think if the stock again corrects up to 4 to 5% from current levels and levels around 515 or 520 seem, that would give us a good risk reward ratio to enter into the stock. So buy on declines would be a good strategy for Z Entertainment.
IDFC or IDFC Bank, any name that you track? They have very limited history as of now.
Yes, IDFC Bank, although it has a limited history, Pankaj, but if we clearly observe the waves, the wave formation which it has done, usually when we see such a sharp up move in any of the stocks, that comes as a wave 3 amongst the 5 waves on the upside. So probably IDFC Bank is trading into the wave 3 move now, and this uptrend is likely to continue in short term. So one should not preempt any kind of reversal in IDFC Bank. I think this uptrend still has further room on the higher side up to 90 rupees. Now the thing is that, Pankaj, usually when there are two corrective moves in an uptrend, and one is a price correction and second is a time correction. When we see such a significant up move, and the next corrective move in any stock generally tends to be a time correction rather than price correction. So whenever the next corrective move will come into the stock, it would be a sideways movement rather than price getting corrected. So traders or investors should not get worried much about, even if there is some sort of corrective move in the stock, that probably would be a time-wise correction, and again the stock would trend higher. I think it's quite possible that the stock would head higher towards 90 levels. So IDFC Bank, if anyone is holding long positions, should continue to hold. Even long positions could be created, keeping a stop loss below 74 from current levels.
Right, but these names like IDFC Bank, IDFC, they are not very owned by institutions, or they are not very owned as much as, say, a Yes Bank or maybe a ICICI. So that itself, if there is any evidence that there is institution buying, that itself can just make the stocks look cheaper.
Yes, that could be a possibility, in case if any such institutions come on buying at even at current levels, then that would protect the downside at least. If there is a buying by heavy institutions even after stock rallying about 50-60%, then any corrective move, that would protect the downside. So that would be a good sign. That would be a positive sign for the stock. Keeping that into the context, even if there is no fresh institution buying at current levels, there are no signs that there would be reversal immediately on immediate basis. And we have seen, in spite of other banking stocks showing some sort of corrective move amongst the private sector banks in last 1 week, this stock has ignored what the movement in the bank nifty is, and it has continued its higher top higher bottom formation. So even if institution comes, the downside would be protected in the stock, and that's what I think would keep your losses protected in this.
Ruchit, just request you to stay on with us. We're taking a break, coming back in 2 minutes, about 10 minutes to go for markets to shut. Let's just look at Eicher Motors. It's up 5%. It's at a lifetime high, 25,800 for Eicher Motors as we go into the break. About 7 to 8 minutes remaining for markets to shut. Looking in a good day, especially for the auto pack. Nifty is up about 41 odd points. We were discussing about the tire names and how they are doing well. Even Eicher Motors is a name which is buzzing right now. It's up 5%. Ruchit, any view on Eicher Motors?
Pankaj, after we have seen that last couple of weeks earlier, the stock has already seen a good sort of consolidation phase. And post-consolidation, again, the stock has resumed its uptrend. So I think this, no doubt, the trend for the stock clearly remains on the high side. 27,000 could be the target for the stock in near term. So I think this positive biasness would continue. Even on the monthly charts, if we see the momentum readings, they are still indicating good positive momentum. So for short term as well as medium term, I think the stock could continue to do well, and on the higher side, the stock has potential to rally up to 27,000.
Would you be a buyer right now, or because it's had a steep run up, we are close to the expiry, just wait for it to expire?
Yeah, so I think for fresh buying, the risk reward won't be that favorable, because even if you consider the last 2 days of activity, then the support for the stock is coming somewhere around 24,450. So considering this support about 1,1300 points on the lower side, and what target we are talking about is about 1,000 points on the higher side. So probably there is no favorable risk reward ratio at current levels. Yes, being an expiry, in case if we some sort of long unwinding coming and the stock corrects up to 24,900 or 24,000, around 24,900, then I think the risk reward ratio would be good again to take an entry at those levels.
Pradeep Harchandani now also joins us in the discussion. Pradeep, let's start with Aisha itself first. Any view on that?
Hi, good afternoon, Pankaj. You know, Aisha, I would concur with the view of earlier analyst. It continues to look good. Even in our last interaction, I had said that the stock looks good on its weekly, monthly, all the time frames, and oscillators are supporting the up move. So still, I would think that 26,000 is the immediate target, and one would do well to continue to hold on to the stock with the trailing stop loss. I think 25,000 now is immediate support, with the stop loss of which one can hold on to the positions.
26,000 if is the target, it's just in and around there, right?
Yeah. That, I mean, the kind of pattern it had over last couple of months, this is the target, pattern target of that breakout. So I think 26,000 is the target we were working with after a breakout happened about 23,500, which seems to be near. But as I mentioned, oscillators are supporting the up move on all the time frame. So one would do well to hold on to the position with the trailing stop loss.
Ruchit, Vedanta is looking good. It's up 5%. Cain, of course, is also up 4 to 5%, but that's maybe because of the merger ratio that it's moving into. Any view on Vedanta?
It's been almost a month wherein the stock is consolidated in the range of 160 to 180. So far, we have seen that this consolidation phase is getting continued. So I think in near term, we may see continuation of this consolidation phase. In case the stock manages to give a breakout again above 180, that would signal continuation of the uptrend. So right now, considering that the stock has now again approached the higher end of the range, it's definitely one should not look to buy this stock at current levels. Yes, 160 to 180 is the consolidation phase, and if you get the stock around the lower end of the range, then I think one can look to enter the stock.
But is it broken out of this range, or you still need some more evidence?
No, it is not yet broken out of this range. 181 is the high which was made within this entire range-bound trading sessions. So in case if it gives a breakout above 181, then that would be considered as a breakout.
Right. Ruchit, just wanted to ask that, is it possible that just because of the expiry, we are seeing such sharp moves on some of these names? They are very well traded in F&O. So could it be just because of expiry and maybe it's a false breakout?
Yes, that could be there. Usually we see many of the stocks which give momentum on the day of expiry or 1 day earlier to expiry. That could be because of the short covering or the unwinding. So one needs to analyze it after the end of the day when the data comes, whether there was genuinely addition in the open interest in the futures front, and there was a fresh long positions created on the node. So whenever such type of moves are seen on the day of expiry or just 1 day before the expiry, there are higher chances that it is due to the unwinding of the positions, and rather getting fresh new positions getting added. So one needs to wait for the data at the end of the day what it comes. In case if you're a trader, you can also keep patience, let the expiry get over. The view would be clear once the expiry move gets over tomorrow.
Right. As far as metal pack is concerned, even Tata Steel is looking strong, Ruchit. Any view?
Tata Steel, if anyone is having from very short-term perspective, then I think the stock has potential to move higher. We have seen in last 4-5 trading sessions where the other metal stocks or when the other counters have shown a corrective move, Tata Steel has rather remained a range bound. So I think some sort of upside momentum in for next couple of days itself could come in the stock, wherein the stock could head higher towards 390 to 393. So just from trading perspective, these are good levels to enter long positions over here. Keep a stop loss below 374. For next 2 or 3 trading sessions, the stock I think should test 392 to 393.
Ruchit, just request you to stay on. Pradeep, just stay on with us. About a minute and a half remaining for markets to shut. A good day, 40 points higher for the Nifty. And the trend has been that we open at the high and then close at the end, but that's not the case today. SBI up close to 2%. Hindalco was a good gainer, 157. Actually, it rallied quite a bit. We were just talking about the metals pack, but I think it's closing at the day's high. Tata Motors is up 1.5%, 540. ONGC is looking strong, up 251. You heard the management this morning. Tata Steel up about 3.5%, 380, and Reliance. Actually, that pulled off some weightage in the market today. Otherwise, the closing would have been even much better. Aurobindo Pharma up 1% in the morning, went to 880 levels, but closing around 870. Power Grid up about 1% or so, 170, 178. Z Entertainment down up about 3.5%, 551. It's an all-time high closing for Z. Kotak Mahindra Bank absolutely flat. HUL down about 1%, and NTPC as flat as it could get. Tech Mahindra down 1.6%, 440. Tata Motors DVR both doing well. Tata Motors DVR up 1. Tata Motors was also up 1.5. HCL Tech flat with a positive bias, 0.2% higher. HDFC Limited up about 0.25%. Bharti Infratel 1.3% higher. There was a positive report on Bharti Infratel by Macquarie this morning. M&M was up about 1% or so. Markets are just about to shut, about 2 seconds to 3 seconds remaining for markets to shut. That's the closing bell. 38 to 40 points higher for the Nifty. Don't think there'll be a lot of change in the provisional number. It may be just 2 or 3 points here and there. Sensex up 75 points. That's the top gainer. Eicher Motors, 26,010 for Eicher Motors, 5.55% higher. Just looking at the move that we've got today, you just get a sense that, maybe it's a sort of short covering move that we are seeing. In the last 30 minutes, you saw a major move coming in, the stock closing at a high. Generally tends to be the trend, when you are looking at it on a short covering basis. Let's look at the other gainers. I think Hindalco would be the second top gainer, 5% higher, 157 for Hindalco. Idea Cellular did well, so it was up around 4%, 82.6, a welcome relief for Idea. Tata Steel was up 3.6. Again, Tata Steel saw a move coming in the last half an hour or so. It could be led by F&O and F&O expiry. Z Entertainment 3.5% higher, 551 for Z. It's at an all-time high closing. Bharti Airtel also did well. They announced a new package. I don't really think that because of this package, you saw this sort of a move coming in. Adani Ports did well. It was up around 2.5. Bosch did particularly well. It was up close to 2%. SBI, BHEL, Tata Power are some of the other gainers. Gainers to the tune of around 1.5 odd percent. Tata Motors was up 1.5, 540 for Tata Motors. ONGC did well. We spoke to the management this morning, 1.5% higher. As far as losers are concerned, Reliance up till now was among the top gainers. It's now a part of top losers list, down 2%. Tech Mahindra is down about 1.5 odd percent, 440. That was the second top loser. Coal India down about 1.2% at about 328. And HUL was down close to 1%, 888 for HUL. HUL is a heavyweight. TCS was also among the losers. That's also a name which is always a part of the heavyweight list. Let's look at the broader market movers, and there are a whole host of them in terms of broader market movers. So IDFC is up 7. IDFC and IDFC Bank, both of them did particularly well. Let's look at IDFC first. Both these names did well. 7% higher for IDFC Limited. Let's look at IDFC Bank. That's up about 5%. India Bull Real Estate did well, 6 to 7% higher. No particular news flow, but volumes tell you that there was a lot of action over there. IBREL. Dishman Pharma was up 6%. Delta Corporation or Delta Corp is up about 6% at about 174. Oriental Bank of Commerce was up 6%. And a whole host of these tire stocks did particularly quite well. So something like a Sept did very, very well. Something like MRF closed at a record high. JK Tyre was also among the top names. That's the Sept for you. JK Tyre, MRF 49,950. Kesoram, that's also a tire stock. I mean, they have very less tire and more of cement now, but it's at about 180 rupees. Let's look at MCX. It was up 10%, 1258 for MCX. It was up 6% yesterday as well. So looking in very, very strong. Pradeep Hotchandani as well as Ruchit Jain both are with us. Pradeep, MCX, it's not a FNO stock, but 10% higher.
So I think it has staged a good breakout on its monthly chart just few days back. I think if you connect its major tops on its monthly chart, 1100 was the region where a big resistance was placed. So now I think 1290, which was the top made in March 2015, is the immediate target, and once that is taken out, we can talk about higher levels, but definitely stock is looking good.
But would you be a buyer at this level, or because of such a sharp move, you should just avoid this name for now?
So I think I would be a buyer here because the kind of breakout I mentioned, it is coming after a long underperformance. The top I mentioned was, the first top was made in 2012, and then the second top was made in 2015. So I think these kind of long congestion and consolidation phase, when it is broken out of this long consolidation phase, I think the up move to continue over next couple of quarters. And the overall larger target I would have is kind of 1500 plus kind of targets. So I would be buyer at this juncture, and any dip I would be adding to the position.
Any view on IDFC and IDFC Bank?
So, post this restructuring, IDFC had made a high of 74. So that would be the logical target for IDFC. Now for IDFC Bank, it's a blue sky scenario because after demerger, it had made a high of 73, and now it is quoting at around 83, 84. So I think here, looking at the chart patterns, I think 90, 93 kind of levels cannot be ruled out. So here, both the stocks I would be positive, but I think IDFC is closing to its resistance level. As I mentioned, the post corporate action, it made a high of which is nearing. So I think both the stocks are looking positive, but IDFC Bank I think would have more headroom.
IDFC Bank, sorry?
IDFC Bank, as I mentioned, 90 to 93 is the upside target I am expecting.
Right. Let's talk about tire names as well, Pradeep. Let's start with MRF. It's a name we don't talk about, but it closed at a record high today. It's a part of FNO series as well.
Yeah. So, auto ancillary, if you remember, Pankaj, has been our preferred area, and all the tire stocks we are quite bullish. In fact, MRF 39,000 was the level when breakout occurred, and since then we have been working with target of 46,000, which has been achieved. So I think oscillators still are looking very good on all the time frames. So here also one would do well to continue holding on to the long position. I think Apollo is something which has underperformed over past couple of sessions, and once 222, 223 kind of levels are taken out, then it can move to higher levels, and we have target of around 260, 265 on Apollo tire. Similarly, Sept and Balkrishna Industries are also other tire stocks which we like.
Right. Pradeep, thank you so much for taking out time for us. Hope to see you again. Ruchit is still with us. Ruchit, a view on Nifty, we've not taken that. With the levels that we are at, where do you expect Nifty to see some supply coming in?
So, Pankaj, we have seen formation of the first lower top recently in the Nifty. Secondly, if we observe this recently last 5 or 6 months, whenever Nifty has corrected, we have seen more of a time-wise correction rather than price correction. But this time it's the other way around. This time we are seeing more of a price correction coming in the index as well as some of the heavyweight stocks. Even today, what up move which we have seen in the stock specific up move which we have seen were more led by the mid cap as well as small cap stocks rather than many of the large caps participating. So we are expecting a further downside in the Nifty in short term. I don't think the Nifty would move much higher from current levels. The recent gap area of 87 around 8710 in Nifty is likely to act as a stiff resistance, and I don't think that in near term the stock, the index would cross above those levels. Whereas on the lower side, we are expecting levels around 8650, where there is a support lying in of 78.6% retracement of the previous up move and 100% extension of this recent corrective move. So I think in near term, the index would move lower above up to 8630, and that's where I think and that's why I think one should remain cautious on the index front at current levels. Any bounce back if in tomorrow's trading session being an expiry due to short covering comes in, and if the index comes around 8710, then that should be used as a shorting opportunity.
Right, and Nifty Bank?
Nifty Bank, we have seen today PSU banks giving a good momentum, but PSU banks hardly form any part of any weightage of the Bank Nifty index. Amongst the private sector banks, the heavyweights such as Axis Bank and ICICI Bank, both these banks continues to remain weak, and they could see further 3 to 4% or about 3 to 5% of corrective moves. The index has support around 19,410, similar to what we spoke in the Nifty, that is 78.6% retracement of the previous up move and 100% extension of this recent corrective move. So I think Nifty Bank Index could correct up to 19,410, and from those levels again some sort of pullback rally could be seen. So not very pessimistic on the Nifty Bank Index compared to what we could see a fall in the Nifty, but at least up to 19,410 the Nifty Bank Index should give a fall in next couple of trading sessions.
Any view on the PSU banking pack like Canada, maybe a Union Bank, the second tier ones, because they did well today. OBC also for one was up about 6%.
Yeah, so in this recent fall in the Bank Nifty, we have seen that PSU banks have not corrected that significantly. So that led to some sort of outperformance in this PSU banks. And what today we have seen, just one day before the expiry, that seems more of a kind of a short covering coming in this stocks because just because the stocks have not fallen. So I think this is one of a short covering move which had led the PSU banks higher in today's trading session. They may not correct significantly from current levels, as we are seeing a good support around 19,410 in the Bank Nifty, and from those levels some sort of bounce back would come. But I think this stocks, all this PSU banks name would consolidate at current levels. So one should not really go short in PSU banking space anticipating any further significant corrections from current level, but rather than stay sideways from this peg until we see again start of an uptrend in the Bank Nifty itself.
Ruchit, thank you so much for taking out time for us. Always a pleasure talking to you. We have the adjusted close with us, 8,745. We were 40 points higher on a provisional basis, but as we closed and adjusted, we were 38.7 points higher. There was not much movement in the last 20 minutes, and that's why even Nifty was unmoved. Mid-cap index up 1.88. Mid-cap index continues to outperform, and that has been the story for a while. We're taking a break, coming back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Special corporate voices coming up on the other side of this break.